Hello everyone and welcome to another Starcraft 2 replay cast. For this one I'm going to be doing a tutorial on the PF rush that I use in Master League versus Protoss. I've been having pretty good success with it of late because I've made a few adjustments to it, which has really upped the win rate. And the adjustments are, there's two things that can really go wrong versus Protoss. One is if they are proxying you and doing a one base, then you almost always lose. And secondly is if they sniff out the fact that you are proxying them. And even though this build doesn't take early gas geysers, when they see something weird going on in your main, often they'll just chrono gateway units, not take their expansion, and it's going to fail almost always, given that. So normal depot timing, and then we're sending this SCV across the map, but in a way that dodges his probe scout. We have a little bit extra time with this SCV, so we can go looking for proxies a little bit, but not too much extra time. And then what we actually do is we're going to go command center first at home on 400 minerals. We are not going to complete this. This is going to get canceled, but it really helps sell the story a lot more. And then when he's harassing, you're like, oh man, you scouted it, and he's messing with my SCV. Then we just abandon this plan, cancel the CC, and then we secretly throw up the command center, the proxy location. Meanwhile, at home, we have enough money now to throw down a barracks and take our two gas geysers. And while this looks really weird, it's somewhat believable. When his probe comes back, he's going to see the double gas, he's going to see the barracks, and he's like, yeah, okay, he canceled his command center and he went barracks double gas. And if he's not a knowledgeable player, he won't think twice about this. If he is a knowledgeable player, he's like, well, there's more money he could be spending. But then what would you be spending it on anyways at this point? The only other option would be more barracks. If I wanted a 1-on-1 open, for instance, then this is all I can do for now to spend my money. So throwing down the Inge Bay. And then this SCV on the barracks and this SCV on the command center, I like to rally into his main base. Once the barracks finishes, we're going to build a tech lab and get the orbital. And once the tech lab finishes, we're going to float the barracks to the Protoss main. That's going to be our scout. And we're going to build a factory on this tech lab. Factory, yeah, it's going to do its main. As soon as that command center is done, we're obviously floating it in. Now, the reason we send two SCVs here, and they'll be arriving at a similar time, one is to distract his first gateway unit. I like to just attack something in his main base, just give him the attack warning in case he's not paying attention. And that will draw his gateway unit away, which will make it much easier to land this command center. And then another SCV just to build Inge Bay walls. This isn't the best map for it. I guess 2 Inge Bays here would probably win best. If you build 2 Inge Bays like this, then that means if he pulls all of his probes, he only has this much surface area on the command center. But I'm just throwing out random Inge Bays just to maybe distract him. Sometimes they get enticed by these low hit point structures they can kill, and to take away some surface area from the command center. Once you start upgrading this PF, you want to start sending like 3 or 4 workers across the map. If he doesn't probe pull or build shield batteries, you'll want to send them back home to mine. But if he does do one of those two things, you want to get them to arrive here so they can start repairing as soon as the PF is done. He is building shield batteries, so that means his units are not going to be dying for a long time. So that's why we need the repair, because he's going to be putting on a lot of damage. There could be an Immortal on the way, there could be more Stalkers coming. When our factory's done, we're going to build a Cyclone, followed by a second factory, followed by a second Cyclone, and then the Magfield Accelerator. We can support 2 fact Cyclone production, which is what we're going to do. You'll notice there that that SCV that pops took a lot of damage. This one right here. You can see he gets it into the red. And this is a little trick you may not know. While units are inside a structure, well, SCVs are inside a structure, like a bunker or a planetary or a medevac, the auto repair will continue working. So they can't repair the planetary inside, but they can repair each other. So now when this SCV pops out, it's at full health. And that's a nice way you can do planetary fortress micro, I guess. You can dodge the stalker shots by jumping into the command center and then popping out. And also while you're inside the command center, you'll be healing up your wounded SCVs. He actually kept his 2 stalkers together, and that's what we want. We want to get any splash damage possible. It doesn't matter what we're shooting, we just want splash damage. Because that will drain the shield batteries faster, and you have to drain the shield batteries before anything dies. So here's my Barrack Scout. I did see an Immortal, so I know he's on robotics tech. But as a Protoss in Legacy of the Void, he can expand and go 2 tech routes pretty easily. So we're going to look to see if we can find a Twilight Council or a Stargate. And we do spot the Stargate. So Stargate and Robo are probably the 2 toughest tech routes, because Robo means I have to worry about Immortals trying to bust out the front or Warp Prism getting towards my main. And same with the Stargate. I have to worry about Void Rays maybe trying to gun down my planetary, or Oracle going across my main base mineral line. Luckily Cyclones are good versus everything, especially in small skirmishes. Right now just putting most of the concentration on taking out the Nexus, because that will get him back to 1 base economy if he were still making probes, which he's not. And it also could supply block him as it has here. So I'm just kind of keeping my Cyclones close to the PF, but also somewhere where I could catch a potential Warp Prism. If you are facing Warp Prism is the absolute most important thing to lock onto with your Cyclones, because it kind of negates all other not lock-ons, as you can do Warp Prism micro to cancel a lock-on. There's some patented Ketrock Cyclone micro, randomly losing Cyclone to a Immortal, and then not watching this Cyclone as it runs up the ramp and dies. But once you're finish the PF, you gotta contain. If you kill the Nexus, that means you're ahead. And having a contain means you're almost guaranteed to keep small skirmishes going, because it's really hard for him to mass a large army on 1 base, and it's hard for him to get that army out on the map. So you're either fighting his entire army but with a planetary, or you're fighting a small section of his army out on the map somewhere. In small skirmishes, Cyclones are king. As long as it doesn't have a counter to it like Blink or Warp Prism micro. So he did get this pretty low because he blocked it off with force fields, but we had 3 Cyclones, so it wasn't much of a problem. And that is GG. So just to go over the build quickly one more time. It's going to be Depot. This SCV we're going to send across the map. You can poke in 1 location for check for a proxy. Probably want to abandon this whole PF rush if you do scout a pylon going up. But for the most part, we're just trying to dodge his probe scout if it's a pylon scout. Then we go CC first at 400. And then we cancel. Command center across the map. Barracks, double gas. Going 3 in each gas geyser as soon as the gas geyser's finished, because we do need to build a factory and a planetary pretty soon. Inge Bay sometime around now. Tech Lab, the Barracks SCV and this SCV are going across the map. Barracks Scout with a factory. Command center. Distraction SCV in his main. Another SCV down here to try to Inge Bay wall to prevent probes around. Planetaries can one-shot probes, so even if he has mass shield battery, it's a good idea to shoot the probes first. Also, he'll probably run away the probes when the PF finishes, so it's good to kill the probes just to prevent them from going back to mining and increasing his economy. Do some micro with your planetary, popping units in and out. If they're on auto repair, they will go back to full health while they're inside the planetary. And then basically massing Cyclones, and the way we do that is when this factory finishes, we build a Cyclone, then a second factory, then our second Cyclone, then mag field accelerators, and then we can pump 2 cyclones at a time. Yeah. The only other thing to mention is we will be slowly pooling up minerals doing this. I have to spend minerals on some other things like missile turrets. I build one here. I think I end up building 2 in my natural just because I'm a little bit afraid of oracles, although you can deal with oracles with cyclones, I guess. I also try to build a turret here and here just to try to be spotters for his warp prism and to block his expansions if this game continues. But if I'm not spending all those minerals in all different places, what you can do is actually build a command center at home at your natural. I like to turn it into a planetary, and once I get up to 4 gas geysers, I can do 3 factory production of cyclones. And if I ever have to transition, a mech transition makes the most sense given that starting 4 gas with a PF than that. That is the build. Thus far, it's 100%, and that I've only done this variant of the build twice. But I think it's going to have a much more success than my previous version of this PF Rush, which I think was not doing well. I mean, it was winning sometimes, which is kind of hilarious in Master League, but I think this will have a much higher win rate. One, because you're more likely to scout if he's proxying you, in which case you can abandon it. And 2 is you're much more likely to sell the fact that you're not proxying him by the fact that you go CC first at home. I think if Protoss sees that, he's not going to be too worried. And when you cancel it, he's probably going to think, it's probing time. Not, I need to cancel my Nexus at home and start chronoing out gateway units. Yeah, so thank you everyone for tuning in, and I'm out of here. Goodbye.